Article 1248. Unless there is an express stipulation to that effect, the creditor cannot be compelled partially to receive the prestations in which the obligation consists. Neither may the debtor be required to make partial payments. However, when the debt is in part liquidated and in part unliquidated, the creditor may demand and the debtor may effect the payment of the former without waiting for the liquidation of the latter. This article gives the right for the creditors to refuse partial delivery of payment from the debtor. Partial performance is not allowed under this article unless it is required or insisted. Somehow, it takes into considerations some aspect or conditions that the debt is subjected to, such as installment basis, only if it meets the specific requirements indicated in the provisions of this article, unless it is expressly stipulated that the creditor or debtor can accept or deliver partial payments, or the debt is partly liquidated, or the prestations are subject to different terms and conditions such that they cannot be executed simultaneously, both parties cannot be compelled to pay or demand partial fulfillment of the obligation. For the first example, Martinez is liable to pay Mendoza 800,000 pesos for hitting Mendoza's car in the parking lot. He cannot force Mendoza to accept 700,000 pesos in partial payment of the obligation, and neither can Mendoza require Martinez to pay only 700,000 pesos unless there is an agreement to the contrary. However, partial performance is allowed if Martinez is in debt to Mendoza for 800,000 pesos plus damages of the car, which, however, has not yet been liquidated or ascertained. Mendoza may demand the fulfillment of the obligation, and Martinez may perform the payment of 800,000 pesos, which is already known. Or, if Martinez would pay 700,000 pesos due today and promise to pay the remaining 100,000 pesos tomorrow with the acceptance of both parties, obligation can be complied partially. For the second example, Luis is obliged to pay Millie 10,000 pesos that will be due next week. Millie can refuse to receive from Luis a partial payment of 5,000 pesos, and Luis cannot be compelled to make a partial payment to Millie unless there is an express stipulation to the contrary. For the third example, Luis obliged himself to deliver 10 pieces of authentic watches to Millie for her online shop. Luis can only deliver 5 pieces, and he informs Millie that the remaining will be followed next week. In this case, Millie cannot, in good faith, refuse to accept the partial deliveries as long as it will be enough for her customers for this week.